Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Vishakarine Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Shri Guru Charana Bhagna Deva Bhakti Sadma Shri Guru Charana Bhagna Deva Bhakti Sadma Andamuri Savadana Mate Hare ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nama Acharya Srila Dasa Kulli. Friends of Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Guru Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Shri Radha Gopinath ki jai. Shri Gaurnita ki jai. Shri Radha Baldeva Subhadra ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Mathura Dham ki jai. Mayapur Navadip Dham ki jai. Dwarka Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri ki jai. Jagannath Swami ki jai. Ganga Maya ki jai, Yamuna Maya ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Srimati Tulsi Devi ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Srimati Bhakti ki jai. All glory is to the Son of the Lotus. All glory is to the Son of the Lotus. All glory is to the Son of the Lotus. All glory is to the Lotus figure Shishri Guru Manguranga. Smara Hari.
Smara.
Smara Hari here.
Oh, maybe he mixed up the names.
Yeah.
Okay. Surprise. Okay. If Smara Hari comes, just give him my apology.
I haven't seen him in 20 years.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Name confusions.
Prabhupada ki Gaur. Om Madhyana Timiranyasya Vyanjana Shalakaya Chakshurapmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Shri Radha Gopi Ramana Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Ramana Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Nikinamne Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dishatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Shaiva Narottama Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhiraye Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 24, verse number 11. Yo Vasmi Mahakalpe Tanayasa Vivasvada Shadadevati Kyato Manudve Harinapita. In this, the present millennium, King Satyavrata later became the son of Vivasvan, the king of the sun planet, and was known as Radhadeva. By the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was given the post of Manu. Ekadakri tamalayam kurvato jalatarpanam tasyan jalidakikatsit saparyeka vipatyatam. One day, while King Satyavrata was performing austerities by offering water, on the bank of the river Kritamala, a small fish appeared in the water of his palms. Satyavratam jaligatam sahato yena bharata utsasajanadi toye shafalim javideshvaram. Satyavrata, the king of Radhadesh, threw the fish into the water of the river along with the water in his palm. O King Parikshit, descendant of Bharata. Now comes the verse for you also to chant. Tam aham Satikarunam Mahakarunikam Ripam Yadobhyo Gyatigatibhyo Dinamam Dinavatsala Katam Vishrija Sirajam Bitanasmin Sarijale. With an appealing voice, a poor small fish said to King Satyavrata, who was very merciful, "My dear king, protector of the poor, why are you throwing me in the water of the river, where there are other aquatics who can kill me? I am very much afraid of them." Purport. In the Matsya Purana it is said, Ananta Shakti Bhagavan Matsya Rupi Janardana Kridatam Yatsyamasa Swayam Satyavratam Rinam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead possesses unlimited potency. Nonetheless, in his pastime in the form of a fish, he begged protection from King Satyavrata. Vansakalpatarubhyasya kripasindubhya ivasya Patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srimad Sarupi ki, Sri Mahadvarasi ki. So, this is the beginning of the great story of the wonderful incarnation of the Lord called Matsyavatara. Keshavadvita Mina Shavita Jaya Jagadish Hare, Jaya Jagadish Hare, Jaya Jagadish Hare. There was already yesterday practically the introduction to the story, who was King Satyavrata, and the devotee yesterday explained very nicely about the duties of the king and the great qualities of the Raja Rishis like King Satyavrata and of the Brahmanas who advised him. So now today the story is that in the Shakshusha Manvatara, this great king Satyavrata Muni, he performed austerities and he worshipped the Lord. And later, the next life, after this, already his future was also told here, that he would become a great Manvasa and the son of the sun god, Vivasva. And his name would be Radhadesh. So in this life, already he's a great devotee, and he has the great fortune of participating in this pastime, and he's always enjoying. He's not working very hard. So this is called Lila. Lila means that activity of the Lord or his pure devotees, which are full of joy and full of love and full of devotion. So this Srimad Bhagavatam is a great narration of the stories of the Lord himself when he comes to this world to bestow his benedictions and to reveal his wonderful pastimes, his wonderful spiritual activities, which are lila, are very playful. The Lord enjoys everything he does, and he does everything very easily and very playfully, without much endeavor. So here also he exhibits a sense of humor by appearing as a small little fish. Srila Prabhupada explains here in the purport that the Lord has unlimited potencies. So also one verse which Srila Prabhupada quotes often, Parasya Shaktiya Vivideva Shriyate. That the Lord is the cause of all causes, and He's the cause of all energies that exist. The scientists, they analyze that energy normally, as far as I've heard, is physical law also, that energy is never lost, that energy is only always transformed. And they can measure the transformations of energy, just like electricity can be turned into heat, or it can be turned into cold, but the energy itself is just transformed and transferred, but it's never lost, right? Here we have one scientist, so this is something that the scientists can measure, and they call it, I think, the law of thermodynamics, something like that. So everything is based on measuring different forces of energy, but where these energies come from, that they do not know. So their knowledge will always be very limited. And Srila Prabhupada says it's also not possible for them to find it with the limited senses, because the ultimate source of everything is spiritual energy, and the source of spiritual energy of Brahman, that is Krishna. Brahmano hi pratishtaham, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that he is the resting place and the source of even the Brahman, the supreme spiritual energy. And in one of the Vaishnava Shastras, it is also mentioned that Krishna is there in Goloka Vrindavan in his very beautiful form as Shyamsakhi, Tribanga Lalita, Niyata Akasha, wonderful, beautiful form, playing the flute and playfully maintaining all his spiritual and material works. And he's very effulgent, and he's surrounded by unlimited wonderful devotees who all have spiritual bodies. And they are also very shining, and they are equipped with wonderful dress, individual dress of different colors, and different paraphernalia for having loving exchanges of service with the Supreme Lord. And the lotus feet of the Lord are very attractive, and they bestow all shelter and all benediction. And the lotus feet also have toes and toenails, of course. And the effulgence that emanates from the toenails of the Lord, if one takes that very bright effulgence, one looks at this bright effulgence and takes 1/1,000,000 parts of that, and then again 1/1,000,000 parts of that. That is the effulgence of the Brahmacharya. That is mentioned by Srila Kavikarna, who Prabhupada refers to several times, great Vaishnavacharya in our life. That the Brahmajyoti is just a reflection of the toenails of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So this is one form of meditation. And then from the Brahmajyoti also this light that is emanating, by transforming this energy, you have this material energy. And in the material creation there's a sun planet, and the sun planet reflects some little bit of the light of the Brahmajyoti. So you can only imagine how effulgent and potent the effulgence is that emanates from the toenails of Sri Krishna's lotus feet. And the sun planet has so much energy. We can see that practically all the other planets and whatever exists there, the bodies of living being, all that is only transformation of the energy of the sun planet. And the sun planet is resting on the energy of one living being, the sun god. And he can emanate that energy because he is also a spiritual living being, a part and parcel of Sri Krishna. So we are all part and parcels of Krishna. Mamaya Vangsho, Vangsho means parcel or part. Mamaya Vangsho Jivaloke. And we also have a spirit soul, great potency. Because the spirit soul is very, it's not limited by the material body, it is spiritual energy. But it's only a tiny, minute part of the Supreme Lord. So we can only imagine a little bit, get a little idea how potent the Supreme Lord is, because he is maintaining all the spiritual worlds and all the material worlds, and even the Brahmajyoti is coming from him, and then also the light of the sun planet. So this is very nice meditation. And here, of course, we see that Srila Prabhupada mentions that he is Parasat Shakti Vivideva Shruti, the source of all energies that exist. But Srila Prabhupada also explains how Krishna manifests all these energies that will always be inconceivable to us. Since Krishna, God, is unlimited, it will always be, Srila Prabhupada says, what is this? Achintya. It will be inconceivable. It is the ultimate explanation for all things that exist, that are so wonderful. Om Purnam Adha Purnam. So many wonderful, fully equipped, perfect things come from the Lord. Everything functions so wonderfully. The universes, the living entities with all their complex bodies and universes, the planets and so on. All this very wonderful creation of the Lord. But ultimately the only explanation is that the Supreme Lord is unlimitedly potent. That is the definition of God. So some people, they may wonder, they sound sometimes like fairy tale. Even one devotee once asked, he's sometimes a little bewildered. People ask him, relatives answer, when they read some part of these stories, they say, oh, it sounds like a little bit like fairy tale, isn't it? Sometimes these thoughts come because they are so amazing, these stories. they cannot relate it, especially the incarnation of the Lord, to anything in their experience. So they ask this, it sounds like fairy tale. But if you think about it, when you're talking of the Lord, and if He appears here as the Lord, as God, then we have to first ask what is the definition of God. And even by ordinary definition, Oxford Dictionary, standard definition, the Lord or God, the definition of God is that He is supreme authority. And if He is supreme authority, means there is no authority beyond Him. He is the most powerful one. Otherwise, He cannot have authority. He cannot have control. Ishvara, Parama, Krishna. Ishvara means control, supreme authority. So the Vedic scriptures that are conclusive, like Ishopanishad, Srimad Bhagavatam, they all hint to that supreme absolute truth who is known as God. That is the definition of God, that He is the absolute truth, means there is nobody superior to Him, and He is unlimitedly powerful. He is all-powerful, omnipotent, right? When we speak of God, we should refer to the one who is omnipotent. So if He is omnipotent, although it's a little unusual for us to hear of a small fish who becomes so big and is speaking to the king also, in a very sweet voice, like a little fish. So the king, of course, was a little bit surprised, but then he thought many things are possible by the grace of the Lord, so why not? But still, at this point, he didn't realize that this was the Lord Himself, because the Lord likes to sometimes cover Himself by His mystic potency, Yogamaya. And even He tries to enhance the sweetness of exchange with His devotees. He tries to sometimes cover Himself a little bit. That is also mentioned in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. Gudaya Kapatam Manusha. Even when Krishna comes, He comes in a little bit disguised form to most people. Looks almost like a human being. Except therefore, of course, He's blue and He can do, by and by He reveals who He is. And so also the Lord here, He relishes and enjoys and covering Himself. Because why? Because He wants to give His mercy to His devotee. But He doesn't want to completely overwhelm him with His feeling that I'm God, I'm so powerful. He wants a little sweetness, a little play. He's very playful. So therefore, you can imagine there's also a nice painting by my good brother, Janmanidaya also. He's holding in his hand this little small fish. He's just fetching water from the river in order to worship the Lord like he's doing every day, to fulfill his brothers and his pujas and everything. And then he sees this little fish, and the fish is asking him with a very weak, tiny little voice, my dear king, protector of the poor, why are you throwing me in the water of the river? There are so many wild, big animals, and especially we see in the fish world, everyone wants to eat the other one, this material world. And the king, as a pure devotee and Kshatriya king, he wants to protect the citizens. And so this is one of the qualities of the exchanges of the Lord with His devotees, that they are surcharged with the quality of love and with the quality of karuna, being compassionate. In fact, Srila Prabhupada translates the word karuna, ati karuna. It's not just karuna, but he's saying ati karuna. She rather kind of confirmed here that this is a very essential point, that this is a very characteristic feature of the loving exchanges between the Lord and His pure devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam is the story of how the Lord appears, how His pure devotees appear, and how they have loving exchanges. And it is one of the qualities of the Lord and also of His devotees, because when you have a master, the servants will be very similar to him. to some extent. They will also have some of his qualities. When a master is very cruel, usually his servants also become a little bit cruel, isn't it? Sometimes we see that. In a household where people are very miserly, the servants will also be very miserly, and they will be encouraged to do that. So also the Lord's pure devotees, they also share some of his qualities. And one of the most characteristic feature of the Lord and his devotees is Atikaruna. Srila Prabhupada explains this as extremely compassionate. Extremely compassionate. So he addressed him, Atikaruna, you are so compassionate. Surely you will also give me protection. So it's very nice. He's revealing that very important quality, and we can also meditate on that quality of Karuna. That is the quality also of the devotees, especially also in the line of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Padita Pavana, most merciful savior of the fallen souls. Devotees also must be very, very compassionate. And when we are very compassionate and our heart becomes soft and our dealings are based on love, then we come closer to the real mystery of everything. Because the greatest mystery is love. The love that the Lord has for all living entities. The love that the Lord wants to share with all the living beings eternally. And that is the greatest mystery. That cannot be understood in one day. And we should remember that also in our daily dealings and activities when we are devotees, that sometimes we have a tendency to become a little mechanic, and then, as far as I've seen, especially in my stone heart activities, then when we become a little mechanistic, and then problems come, things become a little difficult. We cannot really expand our activities or improve them very much, and we wonder why so many difficulties come. But if we meditate on this and remember again and soften our heart by chanting, by serving, but not doing it too mechanistic or too, just focusing on the technical side, let's just get over it or whatever. But always understanding that the whole point is to develop love and devotion and to be very kind to the fallen souls. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was asked what is the essence of our mission, he said, anyone wants it? He gave the answer in just 2 words. And Rupa Goswami was asked by his brother Sanatana Goswami, what is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What did he tell us? What is our main mission? And he repeated these 2 words. So anyone remembers? Another word for karuna, mercy. Yes. Anyone? Yes, very good. Daya. Daya means to be compassionate, very merciful. Especially merciful to the jivas, because we're jiva, the other souls are jiva. And everyone, no matter which situation that living being may be, small fish, or aquatic, or human being, man or woman, child, grown-up person, old elderly person, and the devotee is trying to develop that quality, or rather revive that natural quality, the affinity of his heart of being compassionate. That gives life to everything. When we do things with compassion, that is the beginning of love. Without compassion, there is no question of love. Devotees are known to be very kind-hearted. They are very kind-hearted. And when we have that attitude, then preaching is not just a scheme or some plan that we make. Of course, we should plan. We have to have structures. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't forget that it comes down to a personal exchange with a living being that has feeling, that has a heart, that has emotions, that has been maybe going through so many miseries, not just one lifetime, so many lifetimes. So therefore, we should remember that quality, and here we see us in the leaders of the Lord. The Lord immediately reminds us by his activities and by what he is saying here. Ati Karuna, he is addressing the king Satyavrata as being extremely compassionate. Extremely compassionate is more than just normal Karuna, but it's intensely kind and compassionate and merciful. That is the quality of the Vaishnavas. We pray that every day. Vansha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhaivacha patitanam bhavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Isn't it? You know, that the Vaishnavas, they are like desire trees, and they are ready to help and fulfill the desires, the deep desire for love. That is the actual anchoring of the soul of everyone. And the living being, when we come and we want to inspire someone devotional service, it is not just that we can consider them as someone, oh, what will he contribute now? Will he bring us some money? Will he do this? Will he do that? But the first consideration of the devotee is, how can I serve him? How can I inspire him? How can I soothe some of the pain he's been going through in this life? How can I be soothing to him? And somehow transfer some little part of the unlimited mercy and compassion I've received from my spiritual master by the mercy of the devotees who are Patitatana, deliverer of the fallen souls, who are Kripa Sindhu, who are oceans of mercy. By their mercy only, I have received the great treasure of the holy name and of the loving devotional service for the lotus feet of the Lord and his devotees. Now I'm very happy, but I'm again feeling some of that happiness and some of that karuna by also sharing it with others. Because by sharing the mercy, the merciful feeling and the feeling of gratitude in my heart also becomes revived, because it is spiritual. The feelings of compassion, the feeling of love, that is something spiritual. Of course, in the material world, especially in modern age, when they use the word love, they often refer to it as something I want, you know. I want this, I want to enjoy him, therefore I love this. I'm greedy after something, therefore I love. Let's say I love a Rolex watch or something like that. That means actually you're lusty or greedy after the Rolex watch. Or I love the way that girl looks, so I'm very greedy and lusty after her material body. You know, but do I know something about her soul? Maybe, maybe not. But by being compassionate with stone-hearted feeling of just wanting something and never being satisfied, that is softened up and that is overwhelmed, overcome by another feeling, which means how's the other person feeling? How can I serve the other person? How can I do something for their spiritual advancement, even a little bit? Maybe by a little act of kindness, maybe by a little act of sincere concern, not just manipulation. If a person comes, you want to preach for that person, inspire him, you should feel some concern. You should feel sincere concern, and you should try to also appreciate the person, because there's something good in any person, in every person. Srila Prabhupada once mentioned that everyone has some special ability. Every living being, even a fish, has special ability. You know, he can do things, dive and swim, and other things that we cannot do. And so everyone has some special ability. And when we use that ability in the Lord's service, then we receive or we experience happiness that is different from all the other forms of happiness we experienced before. So if we can get someone to take a walk and give a donation, that is very good for that person. But if we can do it in a kind-hearted way, with sincere compassion, with sincere mood of trying to serve that person by giving him that book, then we can go out and distribute for a long time. I'm very glad to see here, whenever people come here, trying to show them everything, and let them hear the Maha Mantra, and let them see the babies, and explain a little bit, and then you encourage them to take a book. That is very nice. And if you do it with sincere compassion and concern, and if you don't do it in a mechanistic way, in a a certain way, and you deal like that with everyone, then the spiritual energy will connect with you. The spiritual energy is characterized by unlimited love, by personal love that we normally don't experience in this material world, in a materialistic spirit, in a competitive spirit. So even Valmiki Muni, maybe you heard of him, most of you know, he's the compiler or author of the Ramayana. In the beginning, he wanted to write some nice poetry, but as far as I remember the story, at some point he had to ask how to do it and meditate on it, and somehow didn't manifest. And then he saw that I think one bird was raised by another animal, and he felt very sorry for that bird. And then by becoming a little upset on that, he all of a sudden had a manifestation of parts of the Ramayana, the beginning of Ramayana in his mind. And it was explained to him that any beautiful poetry or piece of art, it has to, it can only be very touching and unique if some compassion is part of it, is if you feel something in your heart. And the real essential feeling of the soul is that it wants, especially here in this material world, we feel some compassion. We feel some kindness towards others. And by feeling that, some beautiful things will be felt in the heart, because it's also very purifying. Because normally when we're in a competitive spirit in the material world, and everyone wants to have as much as possible for himself, wants to exploit material nature, squeeze it as much as possible for material sense gratification. Even if we think we're on the spiritual path, there may be difficulties experiencing genuine spiritual feelings, or having genuine spiritual connection with the holy name, always Krishna, always pure devotees. Because the energy that we're connecting with is the original pure energy that Krishna enjoys. And that is embodied in the form of Sri Radha and Gopinath, of Sri Radha and Krishna. Srimad Radharani is the Hladini Shakti, the first manifestation of Krishna. Without Radha, Krishna will not be complete, because she is this internal pleasure potency. So eternally they are one, and they came in the form of Lord Chaitanya. And Chaitanya manifested that supreme unlimited kindness as the most powerful energy that exists. This Hladini Shakti Rasma and so on, we read that in Chaitanya. And it's so beautiful to read these verses. So even when Valmiki Muni, he had just, because for many years he practiced austerities. An ordinary yogi, when he practiced austerities, his heart will become a little hardened, and he will be a little self-centered sometimes, and he wants some power and all these things. But a bhakti yogi, because we're referring to a bhakti shakti, he wants to go for the highest achievement, pure love of God. Therefore, even when he practices austerities, he knows the real fruit of love of God, or the pleasure of Krishna, will not be achieved simply by my austerities. And it will not be achieved simply by my learning muscle. It will not be achieved by any of my own endeavors. But I'm trying to endeavor, I take the austerities simply to please the Lord, and to develop the activities of great devotees. So my real austerities is to my real endeavor, as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj explains in Brahma Samhita, is the acts, cultural acts, cultural acts of worshipping the Lord with love and devotion. That is real austerity. That is the meaning of austerity. Otherwise, it's more or less, it can't even be a stumbling block. So any austerities that we take for under the order of the bona fide spiritual master, pure Mahabhagavad devotee like Srila Prabhupada. And when we take austerities under his command, They will always be helping us to develop the qualities of love and compassion, the qualities of enthusiasm for spreading the movement by cultural activities like daily worship, by the 9 pros of devotional service, by chanting the holy names, by singing the names of the Lord in kirtan, but not just kirtan, in sankirtan, sharing it with others. Like that. And when we do these things, then we realize that the austerity is not a purpose in itself, but the austerity can be very helpful. In order to free our mind, we have to give up some things and we have to replace it by better things. That is, in simple way, 4 regulative principles. Chanting the Maha Mantra is actually very simple. Srila Prabhupada didn't ask us to practice very harsh austerities like sitting in the summer now, surrounded by flames of fire, or sitting in cold water like the yogis sometimes do. So we understand when we hear of austerities like Satyavrat Muni lived in another yuga, and he was a great saintly king. He was able to fast every day for a long time, and he was able to do things that for us wouldn't be so practical. And maybe they would make us a little bit harsh and extreme. We should try to avoid extremes and always again remember what is the purpose of ritual. Just like we have art, and this is a very nice part of preaching also, in the form of artwork, paintings. Like Srila Prabhupada said, the heart of ISKCON is the BBT, the book publication. And the heart of the BBT is the art department. We wanted many paintings, beautiful paintings, painted with love and devotion by devotees who meditate on the Lord. Under the guidance of Srila Prabhupada, not paintings that are too superficially mundane love affairs or something, or too confidential things that we paint because we think on that level. But in a very reverential and careful mood of service, feeling very humble, very calm. As Srila Prabhupada advised, very nice paintings of Krishna. So I see many nice paintings of Krishna. But as mentioned in that story introduction of Ramayana, beginning of Ramayana, any great piece of art, whether it's painting, sculpture, or music, or any other form of art, that should be for the glorification of the Lord. And there must be a feeling of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Not that we just enjoy our own exchange with the Lord, but we are also aware of our service that the Lord wants us to do. And the Lord, more than anything, wants one service, and He asks us to do that even in Bhagavad Gita and many other places. And also in the form of Lord Chaitanya. What is that service? What is the most pleasing? What the Lord wants us to do more than anything else? Out of so many services, what is the purpose? Even in our movement, we do 5 yagyas. I like very much these chanting mantras, all this, very nice. If it would be just for me, I would just chant mantras and do 5 yagyas the whole day. Just enjoy it very much. But if I would do it, it would be a little self-centered, wouldn't be? And I'm not even able to do it very perfectly, and maybe the Lord wouldn't be so pleased. I don't even have tons of ghee, I couldn't go on also properly. Even I couldn't afford it. I'm a very poor Brahmana traveling preacher. I couldn't do it. But what is the purpose behind all these activities? Daily worship, 5 yagyas, beautiful art, whatever we do. What is that? We mentioned in the beginning.
To attract people to Krishna?
That is the whole point. It's very nice. You've been around for, I think, more than 30 years or something. Because you know that, therefore you stay fixed and steady and enlightened all the time. Because you want to do the main mission, or that which is most pleasing to the Lord, and share the glorification of Krishna with them. Jiva Daya, give them the mercy in the form of the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, nobody will be more dear to me than somebody who shares this secret of Bhagavad Gita with others who are realizing or on the way of becoming devotees, who come to the temple because they want to find out something, how to mitigate their suffering and make the human form of life, the mission of human life, perfect. And that is our mission, that we serve Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by spreading the holy name all over the world, by doing festivals and inviting many outside people to the festivals, so that they can hear the holy name of the Lord. And when the people come here, we give them prasadam. We don't calculate in our minds always. Sometimes we ask them to give something and pay for it. But sometimes we should also not forget to just share and sometimes give things for free, because that is very effective. Because the Lord is bestowing. If we give at Prabhupada's time, we give all that for free, always. Free. And the folks, they give some donation. And if they want to give a donation for prasadam, very nice. And that's so much nicer than saying, you have a price, if you don't pay it, you don't get it. I will not do it to you. Isn't it? That's a much nicer feeling. Culture means culture of the heart. That is nice. Not I'm born in a big family, or I'm so learned, or I'm a great artist, or I'm a great Brahmana. In the Mahabharata, the question was asked, there were so many riddles that King Yudhishthira was asked, right, by this monster from the lake. Very interesting story. There are so many. Now I got the full extent, I translated it to German also for one book I'm working on. And I collected all the different questions and answers and translated it into German. And one interesting question that was asked is, what is a Brahmana? Because that's a very important question. We are supposed to develop Brahmanic qualities, very good for Brahmanic or spiritual life. Brahma means ultimately spiritual. So we are Brahma, so we should develop at least some of the Brahmanic qualities. So the question was asked to Maharaj Yudhishthira, what is a Brahmana? And three offers were made. Is a Brahmana someone who is born in a very elevated family, in a Brahmin family? Is that a Brahmana? Then the second part of the question, or is it maybe the learning that makes a Brahmana? What makes a Brahmana? A Brahmana, is it his great learning? Or maybe is it the activities, the way he acts? What action makes a Brahmana? So do you have any guesses? I'm a little mean now because you probably, not everyone has heard it. Very careful. Anyone else? Okay, you want to?
This verse in the Gita,
Samadana, Japa, 9 qualities, very good. Very nice. Yes. So these are the qualities. So in which of the 3, actually I tell you, I give you a little hint. I didn't expect it, but it's one of the 3. I thought none of the 3 will make you, because as you said, there's 9 qualities. But in which of the 3 do these qualities manifest? In our learning, I'm a great learned scholar, or in our birth, I must be from Hindu family, Brahmana family, otherwise I cannot be Brahmana. Or is it by our activities? What do you think? Yes, activities, very good. I was surprised when I read it, but then I realized it's mentioned many times by the way we act. Brahma karmas, you first, in the last line it says Brahma karma, so Bhagavatam, karma means activity. If your activities are surcharged with certain qualities of a Brahmana, like being peaceful, not getting angry, by knowing about the secrets of the goal of human life and being able to give it to others and teach them, that is a great contribution of a Brahmana. If he does it, and he's very compassionate and selfless, he's very austere. Samadana, tapa, he's very austere. He doesn't expect much for himself. He wants to give, he wants to share, he wants to serve. And for that he must be autonomous. He must be living very simple life. Achavan. He must be very honest, sincere, and very simple. So if we are very simple and we make our life simple, we don't need very much. We don't need much facilities for ourselves. Even if we have a big castle here, we don't think it's our castle. We think it's so nice that Krishna is worshipped in the form of the gods as passive. Actually, it's never enough. He can be worshipped in so many nice ways. But it's very beautiful. But we never think, I'm living in a very opulent place and I need this and this. The devotees live a very simple life. And when you live a very simple life, and you don't always think, what can I get for myself? You are able to have your mind free to think of what others' needs are and how I can serve others. So I just wanted to remind you and myself, when I read this, I was very touched, and also with the ongoing story. It's very auspicious. It is said that if you study the whole chapter of this Matsyavatara story, and you repeat it by chanting it, maybe Sanskrit in translation, and remembering it with that attitude, studying very attentively, then all your personal desires will also be fulfilled. All the good desires of your soul, of your person, will be fulfilled, even beyond your imagination. So powerful, these stories in Srimad Bhagavatam, the stories of the incarnations of the Lord. So I don't feel very perfectly qualified or able to actually speak about these wonderful, sublime stories. But it's our duty to somehow repeat or speak when we're asked to what we have heard from great authorities, especially Srila Prabhupada, and what we can remember at that time. So there is one or two points that came to my mind when I was reading this story today. So please forgive me all my insufficiencies and imperfections in rendering, but I hope some of it, because the message in itself is wonderful, I hope some of it was found to be inspiring. And I hope you are all always staying in that wave of pure spiritual energy of the Ladini Shakti of the Lord. I pray for your blessings to be able to do that. And we should know all our problems come when we are cut off from that energy. And that energy is revived when we somehow or other remember we are preaching movement. And preaching doesn't mean like this, just stepping something to someone's throat. It's also not a mechanical process. It is a loving exchange, and it's a very spiritual, very mysterious process. It is very wonderful. And the essence of this is the Sankirtan, Param Vijayate, Sri Krishna Sankirtan. So thank you very much. And do you have any short question? Or is it already too later? 9:50 now. How come Did I overlook something? You were all screaming at the same time, or maybe I couldn't hear. Okay, maybe it's better to finish now. We have to be kind to those also who have been sitting here. So kindness as the key. Let us remember that. And I may be leaving today or tomorrow, and I felt very inspired by this visit here, that you are so dedicated. You take so many hardships, austerity, in order to keep this whole wonderful arrangement here of attracting people to Krishna going. We are all like little wheels in that whole arrangement. But we should also remember that we are not just mechanical or material wheels, we are actually spiritual wheels. And the quality of compassion and love and concern for the other devotees, for the fallen souls, for the person, seeing everything first. That was the first thing I was talking about. Whatever you do, any little thing, washing the pots, they gave me a pot, I was happy. I was asked to do a little service because I felt so obliged to them for the prasana. I thought I would also like to do a service, but I didn't feel qualified. I thought they will probably not allow me, because that means I'm part of their group. They give me a service, you know. But then a compassionate devotee came and gave me a pot that was like so thick with burnt milk on it. It took me about an hour to clean it. And he said, you know, now we are allowed to wash this pot for Krishna. Normally I knew I wasn't even allowed to enter the kitchen or do anything like that. And now it was allowed. After I got prasadam for 3 or 4 days, and everyone was so kind to me, really kind, and just giving, never asking anything. I thought I want to give anything I can for them, but will they give me a chance to do something for them? So they gave me the clock, It was a turning point in my whole life, I was allowed to do a service for them. I felt so privileged, That was a natural thing. And then that devotee, that was Bhagavatam at that time, his name was Avinash Chandra. He was a pujari and cook and everything, in a small Hamburg temple. And he gave me that pot and he said, you're supposed to, I'm asking you to, I give you this important service of washing that pot, that milk pot, And you see how thick it's burnt, so it must be sparkling clean in the end. But I tell you a secret, if you do it with love, with your full love and surrender, with devotion, whatever you do here in this temple, like this service, if you do it with your full love and devotion, not just mechanical, then even when you touch just the rhythm of that cooking pot, you will fall in an ecstasy, in a state of trance, and you will experience love of God. I thought, this is amazing. This is so amazing. This is so practical. I've been a Buddhist before, I was also abstract, but this is so practical. I want to do this. So that was the beginning of my spiritual life. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Srila Prabhupada ki.